Margareta, welcome to Digital Transformation Bite Size. This is a series where I interview experts and thought leaders in the digital transformation space. The last time we met, you were literally up a mountain in Romania. But for those people who don't know you, would you mind introducing yourself and telling us a little bit more about what you do?
Thank you so much, Kieran. It's great to be here, and thank you for having me today. Yes, indeed, I was. I'm already missing the mountains. I'm based in Bucharest, Romania, working for UiPath and part of the global PR team. What I do is public policy and public affairs.
People might be surprised that there is a public affairs team or a global relations team, because when we hear about UiPath, we hear about robots, robots, robots. So would you mind telling us a little bit more about what are you actually doing on a daily basis and why you do it, please?
Absolutely. Maybe I should also give a bit of background on my experience. So by way of background, I'm attorney at law. And at some point, I started to be more and more interested in, actually fascinated with diplomacy and international relations. So I switched to government relations and policy. And I worked in this area for a while. Then I was starting to work with clients that operated in technology. So this became even more interesting: legal, diplomacy, international relations, policy, and technology. And here I am at UiPath. So you're mentioning indeed robots, right? But how does this technology, combine with what I just mentioned before, public policy? Well, if we think about today's world, technology is so intertwined with everything that we do. And this is also a very important topic on the policymakers' agenda. How do we leverage technology to tackle important challenges that we face as a society? How do we make sure that technology is, serving citizens, that the products are, designed the way they supposed to be designed, so that we can reap the benefits, but we can also use them, safely. And more connected to our topic today is how do we connect technology and the people and provide them opportunities for training and education so that we shape a future of work that actually works.
You mentioned about envisaging the future of work. What does that actually entail? Are we going to see a more digital world? Are we going to see digital haves and have-nots? Are governments thinking that far ahead?
Well, this is a very important question, because I believe that the future of work is what we want it to be, but this requires action. It also requires action on the policy front, right? So it's not it's about many multiple stakeholders discussing, focusing on what we need. In terms of the workforce, in terms of the organizations, in terms of the policies that need to support, the economy. So I think that it's very important to work together so that we bridge the digital skills gap that exists. Because otherwise, as you said, the barriers that already are in place will be even more difficult to overcome. So at this stage, even if we're talking about technology adoption, about the pace of technology adoption, you will always see a difference between organizations, between countries. It's just the way it is. But the aim is, for example, in Europe, to unite at the member states level and working towards the same goal, to increase the digital adoption, to increase digital literacy, and make this a common objective. It's obviously easier to to work with partners if you want to achieve a bigger, result, a bigger goal, a higher goal. So I think, especially for digital literacy, it's very, very important to work together with multiple stakeholders.
So are we seeing the decision making, the direction at European, international, and global level translating into HR policies within organizations? Are we seeing individuals themselves taking ownership of their own digital fluency or literacy and running with that as well? Or is this all just at conceptual government level?
It's definitely not only at the conceptual level, because we've seen the rise in micro credentials and a lot of online learning opportunities that people are very eager to take on. We've seen, and there are also many surveys on how employees are asking for these kinds of opportunities, are asking for possibilities to upskill, sometimes even reskill. So I think that right now people are conscious about this important, priority, as we've discussed. Obviously, it's not, we should not think about people having the same type of access, right? So it's a very complex metric. If you look at communities that are vulnerable, the priorities are different. For example, in the vulnerable communities, you need to take specific actions so that the people that are already disadvantaged don't become further and further removed from the opportunities that the future of work poses. You need to think about, the way that society is working, and adapt your policy intervention depending on those specific needs that each community has. And we can look at communities, as I mentioned, regional, local communities, but it's also in a wider sense of the workforce or the students. They're also a community, and they have specific needs. If you think about the current workforce, there's a different type of need there. There's a need to communicate the overall digital transformation process within an organization so that the workforce understands what this process means, how it impacts them. And then you need to think about how you bring them along. So I just wanted to lay out, some various instances where the digital world, connects with the human world, but it's also important how you tailor, your specific communications and actions so that you become closer to the needs of the human workforce.
You mentioned people skills and emotional skills and digital skills. What are those digital skills? If I am to own my own development, what is it that where should I be focusing? Is it robots? Is it coding? Is it digital social media? What are the things that will prepare me for the future of work?
I would think about basic digital skills that are, absolutely important for everyone, which also would need a layer of, let's say, safety and privacy education, so that when you interact with digital technologies, how to make it, safe for you, how to protect your personal data, how not to expose yourself online, and create vulnerabilities. And then if you think about, more advanced skills, then we can talk about, more complex usage of technologies, specific roles, as you just mentioned. If you want to become an RPA developer, for example, here are some opportunities to upskill or just to take the training and get certified on that role.
Do you see the speed of digital change increasing, or do you think we're now at a pace that's as quick as it will go? Is the world getting faster? What's the impact?
If we take a look at the impact of COVID-19, in the surveys done by McKinsey or other companies, the digital technology adoption has definitely accelerated. And I think this trend will continue, because what was built, I think, will continue to be implemented and to be used as a lesson learned, as a way of doing things, with greater efficiency and accuracy. But if we think about, the level of adoption and the fluctuations that will take, this is still, to be determined. But I think we've all seen that, I've seen it a lot in my LinkedIn, the question on what accelerated, right, digital transformation. Is it your CIO? Is it like your C-level suite? Or is it like COVID-19? And this is, the right answer on that picture was COVID-19. And I think this is partially true, right? But we cannot ignore the fact that digital transformation was already a priority before the pandemic.
In a digital world, the only one thing I ever worry about, Margareta, is that we get all the skills. We can work from anywhere, at any place, at any time. But do we lose any of the human in this new world? Because we're not spending physical time together. We're spending digital time together. Is that one of the downsides of digital transformation? Or are there ways of working that we can take the robot out of the human and then put more of the human into the process itself?
I think it's about, as you said, the mindset and the vision. And it's important, I think, for leaders to envision how their organizations, will look like. And obviously within this process, the needs and the asks of the workforce, of the employees, is very important. And as we've seen with surveys in during the last couple of months, there are employees that want to go back to the office. There are employees that want to, work at the office for a couple of days and then spend the rest of the time working remotely. And there are employees that just want to continue working remotely. And I think, this is a complex matter to be dealt with, but it is important to think about how to create opportunities and comfort for everyone. I don't think it's a one-size-fits-all approach, but flexibility and focusing on the human needs, I think, are definitely important on the leader's agenda. And as employees, I think we should be vocal in telling, what we would like to see, what we would like to do.
If you were that, well, you are that person, an employee as well as a leader, what would you like the future of work to be?
Well, I'm very lucky to be working at the company that was digital since inception, and we have a lot of flexibility, and we have a lot of that human dimension that I just mentioned embedded within our culture. So, talking about culture, probably this future of work angle and the human focused dimension will be increasingly more important to be embedded within a culture.
It's the one thing I love about digital technology. It really has democratized things. And as you mentioned earlier on, if we can remove bias from automation or AI, if we can encourage greater mobility and economic success by using digital technologies and remove the robot from the human, but put a bit more human into the process, the future of the world, there might be something bright and something rather lovely to look forward to. Margareta, thank you so much indeed for allowing me to interview you today. Stay safe be good, and hopefully to goodness we'll get to meet someday. Thank you so much indeed.
Thank you.